wanted to come back and make this video all over again concerning Bitcoin. A lot of the craze going on right now, a lot of the pretty amazing things that's happening. Made a video back in early November when the price, I think November 11th, and price had spiked up to about 99,006 or 99,008. It got very close, and then of course prices were rejected at that level. Some slight correction down to I think maybe about the $94,000 level, 94, 95, something like that. It kind of took my eyes off it for a little while, so that might not be accurate. But I know there was a slight correction, and that correction lasted, let's call it 3 weeks, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, because the craze had died down. People probably had lost confidence that it was even going to make it to 100,000 because of that slight correction. But I want to come back on, talk about it, do that breakdown over in a better video as I continue to work on content creation. So hopefully you guys get a treat out of this. Hopefully I can get it a little tighter, a little cleaner, a little better, a little bit more detail. But still very technical, but in simplicity. So what you're looking at is basically a forecast. People don't understand that these instruments, all of them, all stocks, all currencies, all cryptocurrencies, they all move in season. So I'm going to just walk you through Bitcoin's season real quick before I get over to the charts. Now, where we at on Bitcoin in terms of seasonality is where it is right now. Okay, so just so that you have a clear understanding, here's September 23rd when we were in the 70s. And then we saw that run started happening, and in which it got up to, like I said, that 99.8. That's November 8th that you see me on. So that's that run from the 70s through the 80s. It blasted right all the way up, right? And then here's the correction that it experienced up until today, right? When he took off again, there was enough volume in there to push that thing above 100,000. And by the end of this video, you'll see my projection on the final mark. It's not going to be the final mark, but it's going to be as far as I can take it, technically. So we got that, right? That 102. And I'm going to show you when we do get to the charts why we should see this kind of like sidewards action. Not necessarily a correction, but kind of sidewards, meaning for Bitcoin to continue to hang around that level. And as we look at these dates, we'll see January 22nd, that's going to start another run just as significant as the run that we saw from September through November. See how long this run is? So when we get to January 22nd, we're going to see another run like that. Okay? What that's going to do is that's going to break all the highs that he had in there, whether they're 102, whether they're 106, 108, and we'll talk about those numbers on the charts. When he starts that run on the 22nd, we could be, 5 to 10 days off from what I've seen, but somewhere in that range. Let's call it January 18th, for simplicity, 17th. But that's what's going to start the run to make it crack way above whatever the previous high is, which I'm going to display on when we get to the charts. Naturally, because the market ebbs and flows, it continues to create higher highs and higher closes as it's trending. So naturally, whatever this level is, which I'm going to display when we get to the charts, it's going to be a pullback. But all it's going to do is pull it back to the level that it was previously, which is basically your outside return or your retracement or your correction, whichever term you want to use, or your pullback for some traders. At that point, we're at February 23rd. You're going to see another significant run, creating a high that was higher than the previous, the one from February 15th. You're going to see another high. You're going to see a pullback. You're going to see another high. Now, each of these highs, they represent, I'm sorry, that's not the way I want to put it. Whenever we get this high, it's a new high. It's a new structure high, meaning the price previous to it is just the previous structure. And as you can tell, as you can look at this, it's just going to keep going. We're off in March. and you're going to see some sideways movement in March, through late March, and you're going to see the final run somewhere in between March, I'd say 17th to March 29th. Now, if you look at what I said, is it's getting these new highs, getting these new highs, getting these new highs, and getting these new highs. I'm going to put that on display on the chart, show you what that would look like. I'm going to do that now. So we're looking at the Bitcoin chart. And like I said, it's going to be very simple because we're talking about a trend. And when a market is trending, it's basically, as it's ebbing and flowing and creating these new structure highs or higher highs and higher closes, it's trending. Each high comes back. When the market, any market creates a new structure high, it's going to have its outside return or retracement back to the previous structure. So starting point, new structure high, outside return, new structure high, outside return back to previous structure, new structure high, outside return to previous structure. So we're going to use that example here to make this projection. So what we're looking at here in this initial leg here, right? Starting point, new structure high. Something very simple is going to start off very simple with a very simple A to B is equal to C and D pattern. How do we know that D is going to be up in this area? You guys have seen me talk about this before, right? You guys have seen me talk about this before, okay? And that's the A to B is equal to C and D pattern. By simply cloning, well, if A to B is equal to C and D, you're talking about an equal measure move. So on an equal measure move, that means that A to B would be equal to C and D. So if I clone A and B and put them up here to give me the equal measure move, it's basically telling us that this run, the current run that we're in on Bitcoin, even though it is overbought, extremely overbought, which would be basically over 80, it's at 88, extremely overbought, he's still going to continue to push up. Probably not going to stop into 108,000. That could be today, tomorrow, it could be any time. Because when you're looking at Bitcoin, it moves so fast and it's so volatile that normally that much action would take a while. We're on the weekly chart, and this could still happen today, tomorrow, or something like that. Doesn't mean it's going to take a week because we're only on Wednesday. So knowing that the upcoming target is already 108,276, meaning you're going to see 108,000, possibly more, within the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay, that's pretty much a lock. Sorry. Oops. Move this out our way. This is D. It's going to be D up here. And I don't need this because it's not a question. It's a given that we're going to get that 108. Remember when I was on Forecaster and I showed it ebbing and flowing? So you can expect a pullback at 108 or a retracement or correction or outside return, okay? Usually with Bitcoin, what we can do is check the degree of it. It's not very steep. If I were to measure it using Fibonacci retracement to see how long this is, that can tell me what to expect on this end. And it is exactly 38%. Okay, so this correction is 38%. That allows me to say that once they're okay, once the bulls get exhausted, if they ever do, because it's probably going to be so much money coming in to Bitcoin now that people are like, oh my God, I just have to. They're just not going to be able to help it. But if it acts accordingly, the completion of the A to B is equal to CD pattern, that's the end of the move. And then you should get this correction. This correction should be, in theory, same thing, about 38%, which is what you see. 38% again. Okay. And then remember, I talked about some static or sideways movement for a little while. We gotta move and jump around and do some stuff like this. Maybe even come down here, just all kind of just madness. Just consolidate, go sideways until it's ready, as I had showed before, for this clone to happen again at some point out of that range, out of that 382 range. And this is that next high that I was talking about. So as you guys remember, 70,000 to 99.9, which is 30,000, that wasn't that much. That really happened, right? I didn't make that up. 70,000 to 100,000 in the way that Bitcoin moves, $30,000 wasn't that much. So if price action were to come up here to around 110, which I fully expect, something like that, pick up, wick, just test it a few times before he blasts through it to 140. 110 to 140 is 30,000. The same way you saw it do from 70 to 100,000 before it got kicked back. So you're already at 145,000. And then you would, of course, expect the same thing. I know it's kind of hard to believe this because it looks like I'm just drawing a bunch of silly lines, but this is the way the market moves, whether you like it, hate it, understand it or not. So after that, correct back down 38% again now to the new structure. Correct back down into the new structure. And I'm not saying each correction is going to only be 38%. I'm not saying that at all. But for the sake of the conversation, we are going to use 38%. Okay? So I'm going to clean some of these others off. I don't need them. I would like to keep a very clean chart if possible. So this is basically what we're looking at. Remember, we got a long way to go. And if the market continued making these equal measure moves, I just cloned this leg again. And I'm going to put it right there where you came from. It's dropping you right in above 175,000. Yes, I understand that sounds very extreme. And I know I'm making it sound too easy. I get it. But look, let's go back. Remember, the market's going to have it's going to have several. Well, this is actually one huge run. That's where everything's going to happen. And this is why you saw me project that 140 and then that 175. That's what this level is, 175. Late March. Pullback or correction, right? A cooling off period, basically. Allow investors to get their ducks in line. But what do you know? Remember, get to April basically, run through March, and then basically kind of sliding down. 7 months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 7 months. Because that run is going to start again. Well, 6 months, September. Same way it did last year in 2024. And it's going to do the same thing. And it's going to run all the way from September. It's going to have some crazy highs in November's. It's going to pull back some. And then it's going to take off again through March. But the significant part about what I'm showing you is what the run that it has from September 6th of 2025 through November 23rd of 2025. That high is higher than the March high. The high in November of 2025 is a lot higher than the March 2025 high. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even want to get to speculate what that next level is. I will tell you this. 174,000 plus 30,000 is 204,000. So there have been some people out there with a $250,000 projection on Bitcoin. And I used to think that was wild. There were some things I used to turn my head at. But I guess, I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, I can actually see that now because I have my own $205,000 projection for Bitcoin. So with that being said, I hope this video provides some value to the traders out there, to the investors out there. It's my take on it, technically, the way I view the market. If you go down on my playlist, and I'll try to find a way to pin it. I'm kind of new to this YouTube content creation thing. But you'll see the first projection that I had for Bitcoin, 160,000. We're going to hit 110,000 within the next 24 hours. So that projection gets blown out because who expected us to hit? We're already, what was our high today? We're at 103 right now. I'd like to go back and see what our high was, but either way, you guys get the gist. Like and share the video. Hit the bell icon to be notified, as I've been putting videos out at least one a day at this point, hopefully more to come. A lot of it teaching structural analysis and my focal point being advanced pattern recognition, learning to identify harmonic patterns in the market, understand that the market continues to create advanced patterns over and over and over again, whether you like it, hate it, understand it or not, or agree with it. It is what it is. That's how the market moves harmonically and respects major and minor Fibonacci levels. So again, I appreciate your support as I try to make a space for myself in the YouTube world, content creation. I'm new to it. Hopefully my content gets better as I learn from all of the experts out there. And just stay tuned. Like I said, hit the bell icon because you're gonna really enjoy some of the things that I have to say about the various instruments. If you just go down the playlist, you'll get the gist. That's going to include everything, a wide range of forex, cryptocurrencies, and stocks. So thanks for your support. You guys take care out there. Be safe. I need to finally, I probably should have said this earlier, but I do not provide financial advice. These are simply technical projections, and my main focal point is to provide education and advise or teach and educate on how the market actually moves in terms of market structure. That's all I have on this one. You guys take care, be safe, and I'll see you on the next video.